NXT TakeOver Chicago is only a couple days away from the Allstate Arena. You know it. So we're going to talk about the Go Home NXT right here on the mid-week wrap-up.
I fucking hate you.
You're welcome.
There was a lot of that in our first match on NXT where Drew McIntyre took on Shaun Malouda.
Also, I'm gonna precurse this by saying that Bobby Roode is a dick to his personal help.
Yeah. Like one guy carrying his one bag and he's like, hurry the fuck up! We got stuff to do.
Hurry the fuck up! They don't need me till the end of the show!
Yeah. They don't need me for an hour, but hurry up! Even though we're right outside the building. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, Drew McIntyre, Shaun Malouda. Drew McIntyre is a scary man.
Always has been, to be honest.
And Shaun Malouda just happened to, like...
He's just got more hair now.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference.
He's not nearly as scary as he was the first time. Or he's much more scary than he was the first time he was in WWE, because he was just... There wasn't anything scary about him the first time he was around. Then he went and got all grizzled and hairy and terrifying. And he took it all out on Shaun Malouda, who unfortunately caught him right in the eye pretty well. There was all kinds of red and swelling and happening all over Drew McIntyre's right eye, and Shaun Malouda felt it after that. I mean, he felt it through the entire match. He was being tossed around, he was being kicked in the face, but that last headbutt, such a good sound on that, and then followed that up with the Claymore kick that just caught Shaun right in the face. Not a good night for Shaun Malouda.
Not particularly.
No. Drew McIntyre picks up the win and then puts out the challenge for next week, which was accepted, and he will face Wesley Blake in a one-on-one match next week on NXT, which will be a pre-recorded match before TakeOver on Saturday.
Yep.
So...
A special edition of NXT from the Allstate Arena.
Yes. Speaking of challenges, apparently after NXT went off the air last week, we had Sanity attack Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong was... he was approached by William Regal in the back, and William Regal asked him if he was alright, and all he said was, I want sanity. I want sanity. And Eric Young accepted, so we are having Eric Young versus Roderick Strong at NXT TakeOver Chicago.
What?
So that should be fun. We'll see what happens with Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane on the outside. Won't have to worry about Nikki Cross, because she'll be getting ready for a triple threat match. But, I mean, Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane aren't exactly things to just shrug off.
Especially Killian Dane.
Exactly.
He's a big fella.
Speaking of that ladies' triple threat, we had a in-car interview with Asuka as she was on her way to Full Sail.
She was being a bitch.
Yeah, she was having none of it. She wasn't answering questions. She was just trying to get the interview over as quick as possible. They pulled up to Full Sail. She got out, and the crowd, a few kids and a couple people out there, all excited to see her. She's having a good time, taking pictures and dancing around, and then the camera just happened to keep following her as she walked towards the building, and she got the biggest bitch face. She just couldn't give less of a shit about the people, that she was just having a good time with. Asuka, you're a bitch.
Good job.
Doing a good job. And we followed that up with some ladies action. Two ladies trying to make a name for themselves on NXT. We had Sonya Deville taking on Lacey Evans one-on-one. And I thought both ladies did a great job of showcasing themselves.
It was a really good match, considering neither of them have had a lot of exposure as far as the TV tapings are concerned.
Yes, Sonya, I think, is the only one that's really had more prominence, mostly because she was on Tough Enough first.
Yeah, and Sonya had that short little run where she had that small altercation with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce.
Yes, exactly.
Doing the 6 women's tag and then getting left by them, and then she wrestled like Billie Kay the next week or something like that.
Yeah, she told them to decide which one she got to beat up the next week.
And I think Lacey Evans only had one other singles match on TV prior to this.
She was in a jobbery tag team match against Peyton Royce and Billie Kay.
Yeah.
And then she had the one singles match where I think she lost to Ember. Or potentially Ruby.
And then she was in the Battle Royal.
Yeah, and then she was in the Battle Royal.
So it was a really good showing for both of them, kind of having it being their first sort of like spotlight on both of them.
Yeah.
Because neither of them were like the person that's already been built up sort of thing.
Right.
So there wasn't really one overshadowing the other.
And I liked that it was a very even, like an even playing field where there wasn't like, oh, we really like this person for this, or oh, this person has this going for them. It was just, they got to show pretty much like a kind of a brand new personality to the NXT crowd, and one didn't really have to overshadow the other. And despite Sonya picking up the win, I'm just as excited to see what Lacey continues to do on NXT.
Yeah, and it's just that cool thing about the NXT Women's Division constantly sort of being reinvigorated over and over again, because we were worried at the time when Becky and Bayley and Charlotte and Sasha and Alexa and Dana and Nia Jax all went up in a short period of time.
Emma. Yeah, there was a big gap that was really left, and it was like it almost seemed like there was a whole chunk that left, and then there was like only 2 or 3 that really held it all together, and it kind of kept being that thing, and then especially since Bayley went up, having Asuka kind of being the biggest name on the roster, and having to build so many stars, it's nice to see that we've had a really good influx of women who have made good names for themselves on the roster.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like there was a hole there for very long. It filled up very quickly, and now we have another well-rounded women's roster once again.
Yeah. It was really cool to see, once all of them kind of left for the main roster, to see like Billie Kay and Peyton Royce and Ember Moon kind of like step up and be like, hey, we're the new stars, look at us, and they jumped in so head first to, I feel, give the rest of them time to like build themselves up.
Yeah. Well, and then we've also had the really lucky draw of getting Nikki Cross, who has immediately gotten over. Now we have Ruby, who's getting over. Liv Morgan's doing some really good work. Aaliyah's trying. Not necessarily succeeding all the time, but she's trying. And now we've got more, we've picked up some really great indie talent that we know is going to be ready really quick with Sarah Bridges, Kimberly, potentially Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
So that there's a lot of good names that could quickly make their way to the roster, and with people like Lacey and Sonya really coming into their own very quickly and making as much of an impact as they did with just this one match. I mean, you don't really have to worry much for the women's roster itself. Especially, I can't imagine Asuka's going to be sticking around for too much longer.
Yeah.
She's got to be heading to the main roster probably around SummerSlam.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's kind of what I'm
Well, I
saying.
mean, it depends, because you have to feel like Ember was sort of the chosen one to take the belt off of her.
Yeah, the fact that Ember got pulled from the match does kind of change plans a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sonya, I like that, she uses that MMA background but doesn't rely on it, which I appreciate, because the MMA gimmicks really bother me. But I felt like she did enough wrestling on top of using the the MMA background to really change it up a little bit. And Lacey kind of like, she had a few moments where she shocked Sonya. That one like straight punch she got to Sonya that knocked her on her ass was really great. But Sonya with the running step up Shining Wizard, which seemed like it was just like, I'm gonna try this, and it fucking worked. A great move, great finish. I'm excited to see what both these ladies continue to do. Just more challengers for Asuka and whoever may be champion after NXT TakeOver. And then our main event match, we had Cassius Ohno taking on Andrade Cien Almas, and these two held nothing back on each other either.
No, this match had a good pacing.
Yeah, it was better. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
They came out. They kind of like. They made sure to do enough right at the get-go to get the crowd glued.
Yeah.
And then once they had the crowd sucked in, then they could kind of like go into the comfort zone for a minute of like the guys get their typical all their regular spots in, and then you had like the last third of the match, which was okay, we're done getting our stuff that like everyone knows we're gonna do out of the way. Now let's like just sit here and kick each other in the face over and over again.
Yeah. And then they had the good little additions at the end too, where it was like both of them were so enraged that certain moves weren't keeping them down as long.
Yeah.
And it was just making the other person more mad, and they kind of flip-flopped back and forth doing that. And then Cassius just had that like 3 moves in a row that just looked like they fucking hurt, because he had that first big pump kick that caught Andrade right in the face, followed that up with a quick forearm, and then the roaring elbow, which eventually just left Andrade down. And so, you gotta think, we do have an open space, technically, on the NXT TakeOver card.
I mean, they could, but at the same time, a lot of the takeovers are 5 matches long.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's only open in the sense that one of the matches isn't an NXT match, it's a UK Championship match.
Yeah, and on the other hand, only one of them isn't a title match.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they might give a lot of that extra time to the title matches as well, but it'd be interesting to see if there's something that causes maybe the two of them to just start fighting, and they're like, all right, we're going to have another match.
Yeah, I wouldn't be hurt to see a rematch between Andrade and Cassius Ohno. Because it was good.
Be a nice middle ground to kind of break up the rest of the title matches and whatnot. Then speaking of the titles, we had Bobby Roode come out and decide to just talk a little more trash about Hideo, saying that Hideo's great. He's knocked out a few people, and I'm one of those people. He came out and he dropped me with the GTS completely unprovoked. I wasn't even ready for it. I was in a suit and doing the heel thing. And then he decided just to, push the buttons of Hideo Itami, who then decided to come down. William Regal and some security guards.
He had a slick juke past the security guards.
Yes, he did. Like, I thought that it was just going to be like, because, usually when Regal gets involved, things usually, stop, because there is a respect for William Regal. Regal came down, got right in front of Hideo, and then the security guards came down, and Hideo had different plans.
Yeah.
He found a way into the ring. He went after Bobby Roode. He attacked some of the security guards. And then Bobby Roode even saved one of the security guards from a GTS, but then ended up getting a GTS himself. So, Hideo's not playing around.
No.
He is going to Chicago, and he is planning on taking that championship. So yeah, it wasn't a whole lot on NXT, but there was a lot of hype for Hideo.
Yeah.
A lot of showing
they did
big
the highlights, the Hideo highlights.
Yeah, which wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah, we got to see his initial debut.
The first big NXT show that we were actually
at
the
house show from San Jose. I was in San Antonio for some reason. We weren't at San Antonio.
No. And there was also the clip of him
returning to challenge Bobby Roode.
Yes.
And then the
match with
and
Roddy.
Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
Versus Hideo for the
Yes.
number one contender spot. So a little career retrospective of Hideo's time.
Hideo's greatest hits leading
They
up to
left
this
out
match.
all the clips of like him getting surgery and stuff, though.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really want to highlight surgeries when the person's going into a big title match.
All right. Well,
So, I mean,
speaking of going into big title matches,
let's predict some shit.
we are going to do our predictions attached to this, so you don't have to, your podcast listeners are going to get to hear them for the first time, and since last time we did this.
But not
so,
Backlash.
No.
You gotta go to the YouTube for that.
Yep.
Yeah. You want to run it?
I'm going to start right now.
Do it. I've already picked all my people. So.
We're going to have to start off right away with the one non-championship match.
Yeah.
Roderick Strong versus Eric Young, the newest match just added. Who do you think is taking this one?
I'm gonna give it to Roddy. I think the fact that he had to lose that match against Hideo so Hideo could get that title shot, I think possibly an out of nowhere type of win that Eric Young isn't expecting, followed by a sanity beatdown is going to keep this going maybe just a little bit longer. But yeah, I think Roddy needs a win. I think that's Roddy needs a singles win. Is what I'm looking at.
I'm going to give it to Eric Young.
All right.
Because I think it's going to be the sanity numbers are going to work in his favor again.
All right.
I think we're going to see a similar build to the way the Eric Young Ty Dillinger feud went.
Okay, just kind of continuing on that same kind of path. All right, I'm into that.
Then the NXT Tag Team Championships.
The ladder match.
It's a ladder match between the Authors of Pain and DIY.
Yes.
It's kind of exciting. It's the first ever tag team ladder match in NXT.
I am very interested in this match.
I'm curious to see how the Authors of Pain hold their own in a ladder match situation. It definitely seems like something that's more suited for guys the size of Gargano and Ciampa.
I'm excited to see because these are two guys I don't think I've ever seen either of them in a ladder match myself.
Yeah.
So to actually see them work in that environment, I'm excited to see. And then on the other hand, I'm excited to see what the authors are able to kind of take and mold to themselves in this type of environment as well.
All right. Well, I'm going to bet against the smart money here.
All right.
And I want to say that because of the ladder match stipulation, DIY are going to regain the Tag Team Championships.
Alrighty then. I am going to go the safe money route, and I'm going to say that the Authors of Pain, despite being the bigger guys, are going to find a way to take those titles down and win the ladder match. And remain the NXT Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, the one thing that they definitely have going for them is that, either one of them, per se, Akam could probably just hold Gargano and Ciampa.
Yeah.
Razor would, go up and climb.
Yeah, Razor is slightly taller. So, I mean, we talked about it when the match was first announced, is they really only have to climb up about 4 rungs. And they're already within reach of those titles. So they definitely have the height advantage, but DIY does have the quickness and the agility.
Yeah. Then we talked about it earlier, the Women's Championship. On the line, a triple threat match.
Yes.
Asuka defending against both Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I'm just going to go put it out there. Asuka's going to retain again.
All right. I'm going out on a limb. I think they were kind of hoping the title would come off of Asuka. And I'm going to say, just for shits and giggles, I think Ruby Riott's going to pull out a surprise win.
Oh.
I
would definitely be okay with that. I just feel like they invested too much in Ember Moon and they've invested enough to where they can be like, okay, we can wait till the next takeover and let her win there.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it's gonna be one of those things where Asuka's not part of the decision, so she can still say that she's undefeated.
Yeah.
And so Ember, regardless if the championship is on the line, Ember still has the chance to be the first person to actually beat Asuka. So, I'm going that route.
Alrighty. The WWE UK Championship is going to be on the line for the first time in a takeover event.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne recently earned a number 1 contender spot, so he's going to be challenging Tyler Bate. And a rematch from the finals of the UK Championship tournament.
I mean, it was fucking fantastic last time. I'm excited to see these two just kill it again.
I'm stoked to see it this time around because it's the one we get to say, like, hey, these guys didn't just wrestle 3 times in 2 days before this match.
Yeah, they will literally have every bit of their energy left to just fucking unload on each other.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be good.
That being said, I'm also going to say that Tyler Bate is going to retain because I think that we're going to at least get 2 or 3 episodes into UK Championship special territory before Tyler Bate drops the belt.
I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to say they're going to hype up that championship show by crowning a very, very brand new champion before the show even starts. So I'm going to say Pete Dunne is actually going to win the UK title.
Except it would be the day after it starts.
Technically.
Because the first episode's on Friday.
Yeah.
Which you'll have to stay on YouTube to hear about our talking about that show too.
Exactly.
So don't go nowhere. Don't go anywhere.
There's videos every day this week, guys.
Because there's still one more match. We got to talk about Bobby Roode versus Hideo Itami.
Yes.
And my theory on why Bobby Roode has to retain the championship.
And what is your theory?
It's not really a theory on why Bobby Roode has to retain the championship per se, but on why he's going to retain the championship. Because I feel like right now we are building up like 3 or 4 super plausible contenders to be the next champion. Cassius Ohno, Drew McIntyre, Roderick Strong, Eric Young. All these guys are sort of like, hey, Andrade. All these guys are sort of like being like, hey, we are new spotlight guys.
Yep.
And I have a feeling, I just got the vibe out of this last episode of NXT that perhaps we're going to see Hideo Itami going to the main roster.
Yeah, I definitely think they've...
It was very much so like, look, here's Hideo's beginning, and now here's Hideo in the title match. This is sort of like, you get that sentimental roller coaster of like, the whole career of Hideo Itami in NXT, despite the fact that like, more than half of it was spent on the injured list.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him stick around NXT for a little bit longer. Maybe come up around SummerSlam like Asuka.
If you want a good way to take advantage of Hideo Itami, 205 Live.
Yes.
Let's watch Hideo versus Deville.
Have him take Tajiri's spot as the Japanese guy over there. Yeah, I mean, there are I don't know. It's so tough to say that he's gonna go so like he just hasn't been able to do much on NXT, which is unfortunate. And yeah, I mean to kind of take that kind of like legendary, Japanese star spot that Tajiri was supposed to have on 205 Live. I mean, his only other Japanese competition would be Tozawa. It'd be fun to see. It's one of those things that's so up in the air. It could really go either way. But I am agreeing that Bobby Roode is going to retain.
All right. Yeah, there you have it, folks.
That is it for NXT predictions. That is it for the midweek wrap-up. Thanks for watching, guys.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Click the links.
There's a lot of links.
Check out the podcast.
That's one of the links.
Unless you're already listening to the podcast, then come back over here because we have videos every single day this week.
Yeah, we're about to drop our review of the first episode of the UK special.
It's going to happen.
In your ear holes.
So look forward to it. We also have Backlash predictions coming up as well.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have our NXT TakeOver review.
Yeah, then we're going to talk about Backlash.
And then we're going to talk about Backlash. And then we're going to start episode 154.
It's like a wrestling rundown marathon, essentially.
Yeah, there's a lot of editing and a lot of stuff going on.
We're just not stopping.
It is insanity. Also, check out Reasonable Wrestling Fans.
It's Reasonable to W.
Like wrestling. We're in the process of planning some more recordings
content
soon. We haven't been able to get Thomas out here, so it makes it kind of difficult when it's just the two of us, but we will be doing backlogged punishments very soon. We'll be having a brand new punishment for Backlash as well. So look forward to that stuff. Let us know what other types of stuff you want to see over there. But for now, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next.